Hello, Speech Group 1. I'm Jake, and today I'm going to be talking about taxes and giving you guys some background of America's taxes and how they started and what they have come to now. And I'm going to also be trying to persuade you on my personal opinion of lowering taxes to benefit our economy and modern world. Sources that I used were I tried to stick to credible sources, meaning I used historychannel.com, which is from the History Channel that we see on TV. And I also used Wikipedia and some more biased sources, but that used facts that I actually checked on multiple sources like libertarianism.org and other examples like that. So today, just for starters, I'm going to warn of the truth behind taxes and some of the negatives that can be exposed when we see the truth emerge of taxes. So we'll start with a little bit of history, and taxation without representation is a huge portion of what started our modern day taxes. Taxes are something that have been around forever and are necessary in our modern world, especially. We see taxes throughout and on anything that you purchase, I mean, throughout everything. Um, but this phrase, taxation without representation, is a huge portion of our modern American taxes. So, why did this phrase start? This phrase started because of the American Revolution and because of something called the Boston Tea Party. So, the History Channel stated that the Boston Tea Party was a political protest that occurred on December 16th, 1773, at Griffin's Wharf in Boston, Massachusetts. So, American colonists dumped 342 chests of tea imported by Britain. Well, the reason behind this is because Britain, which at the time was a monarchy, was imposing ridiculous taxes on the American colonists for something that they didn't want and didn't need, which was 342 chests of tea, which was ridiculous for the original 13 colonies. And they were taxed crazy amounts for it, thus creating this phrase of taxation without representation, which launched the American Revolution. Um, Something that I can add to that is that I know, like, what a lot of people think in modern times is where does my money go? And that's something that I want to touch on a little bit later on in the speech, but something that is, it relates back is that history does repeat itself. So, I mean, we see in modern times, we see a lot of taxes like a luxury tax. So let's say you own a Cadillac or a boat, you have to pay a luxury tax every year on that. Well, what does that tax go towards? Right? So there's taxation there without the representation. So a lot of people think that's odd, right? Well, according to Kimberly Amadeo, I hope I'm saying that right, which is president of the World Money Watch, said that $3.46 trillion were collected in taxes in 2019 alone. $3.46 trillion. Where did all that money go? That's my question, and I want you to think about that. So, this leads to the ideas of government theft, not meaning that the government is literally just stealing money, but that in a way that they are stealing our money. So, another quote being according to libertarianism.org, the analogy for taxes is taking property without consent. So, what I mean by this is like, is if someone was to take something that belonged to you for no reason. So let's say you have a new bike. You just got your new bike and you're in school or whatever, and someone takes it from you. That's essentially how taxes would work. So the government is taking money out of your paycheck every single time that you get paid. Now, they go on to add that the argument of good deeds is being used. So the government is using our taxes for good deeds, such as fixing roads, paying people money who need it, and stuff like that. Now, the road tax, I'll touch on that just because we live in California, which is known to be the state with the worst roads. We have one of the highest, I believe it's the second or the first highest road tax in the United States, yet we have the worst roads. Why is that? Now, the reason behind that is because our road tax doesn't just go to roads or things that improve driving experience. So something that our road taxes went to in 2017, 2018, and 2019, and gonna keep going up and up and up is the high speed rail. This is a project that is over budget, over time, overworked for a very small percentage of the population. Um, The high-speed rail itself, I believe, is a fail, and I think that it's a ridiculous investment for what percentage of people will be using the high-speed rail on a regular basis to pay that off. And our road taxes are going towards that. So every time you fill up gas, the taxes on your gas are going towards the road tax, which goes towards the high-speed rail. So every time you pay for gas for your car, the money goes towards the high-speed rail. Personally, I think that that is theft of my money. Um, Another example would be, so if someone was to take your bike, so same thing, right? Someone took your bike, but their argument of the good deed is, oh, well, my kid needs the bike because I can't drop him off to school. While that's a fair argument, you can't drop your kid off at school or whatever the argument is, that is still someone else's bike that you took. That's the analogy that I'm trying to give here. Um, some solutions that I can really give to you guys is to lower unnecessarily high taxes. So, for example, again, I'm going to use the road tax. I'm going to piggyback that just because we live in California. It's easy to compare and contrast. But lowering unnecessarily high taxes like the road tax. So, why we pay the most taxes and have the worst roads, that should be lowered, and those taxes should only be going towards the roads or improving driving experiences. Um, Meaning other things like not as not as many windy roads or whatever, building roads that are better for driving, better for gas mileage and all that. So I'm going to touch on that more, like using money for what the tax product is. So if you buy a shirt, the taxes of that shirt should go towards making more shirts or paying the people who make those shirts. It shouldn't go to some it shouldn't go towards roads even. That's not the tax on the shirt should go towards something to do with shirts. So lowering taxes also equals more jobs. When you lower taxes on businesses, they have more money in their pocket, therefore they can invest in a new employee or a new machine or something new that an employee has to work on or whatever it is. So lowering taxes gives employees or employers more money to invest into their employees. Another solution that I can really give is a flat tax, and that's something that has flaws, but I think that a flat tax, like say 15%, so everyone pays 15% or 10% or 5%, whatever it is. If everyone pays the same amount of taxes, then you have no inequality among taxes, and it can be evenly distributed and all that as well. So just giving a tax a name can still mean that there is not there's not representation in that tax. Just because you call it a road tax doesn't mean that it's representing roads. Um, Taxes are necessary, and I cannot stress that enough, that taxes are necessary to fund further investments in our communities and our economy and all that. But I feel like things would be a lot different if the 3.46 trillion, not billion, trillion dollars in taxes that were collected a year. I feel like that should change something. Things should be different, right? History repeats itself. We see the fall of Great Britain after their super high taxes. Why would we copy that, right? Um, so history repeats itself, and we're heading back to that monarchy type taxing. Um, Consider these solutions between yourself, and I challenge you to do research on taxes to find your own ideas on them and formulate your own ideas. Um, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you very much. And here are my speaking notes. Challenge you guys. Do your research.